So this is a time where we take to get quiet and center ourselves in a meditation. And we're going to do a little visualization today. So please make yourself comfortable, put your feet on the floor, let things go. Close your eyes if you wish, or gaze down at the floor. And just breathe gently with relaxation. In and out, just naturally relaxed. With every breath, you become more relaxed and release any energy that you need to release to focus and get centered. Now imagine that you are a lotus seed buried beneath a muddy lotus pond. The mud is all around you, and you can feel the mud. Above this muddy pool of dirt and mud and filth are sunshine and air. You are not disheartened as you begin your journey towards the surface as you grow. With a determined heart, you begin to wiggle in the earth, grow roots deep into the mud, and your little stem grows up slowly. Suddenly, pop, you are out of the mud, and your stem grows higher and higher, taller and taller. You rise up slowly, fighting against the muddy water, and all of a sudden, you are out of the muddy pond. You reach up towards the warm sun shining down on you. Your lotus bud begins to grow on top of the stem. It expands and grows larger and larger, finally bursting into full bloom. A white lotus flower, you stand beautifully above the muddy water, not dirtied by the mud from which you grew. You are fragrant and beautiful and whole. Everyone marvels in your beauty. Your determination to grow out of the muddy pond reminds us of the journey towards enlightenment. Like a lotus, we are determined to grow out of our muddy surroundings. That is the difficulties and sufferings of life that we experience. We may have difficulties, but we all have the potential to grow out and achieve wisdom. That is our Christ nature. You are a beautiful lotus flower, and your role is to remind people to rise above their difficulties and sufferings, just as you are arising above the muddy water and not dirtied by the mud from which you grew. And as you are resting in beauty on top of the water, you see others' lotus blossoms pop up and bloom around you. And you see this beautiful community, all perfect and whole, the beauty of this flower. And this is our way to the light. Just as the lotus came out of the mud, grew through the water, and is now in its full expression in the light. That is our journey and the journey of all the beings around us. Now let us take a moment in the silence to just feel this peace, this wholeness, and this beauty that we are. And as we return to this place and time, we bring back with us the knowing of our beauty in expression and the beauty of everyone, everything in expression is whole and perfect. And for these blessings and for this growth into our full potential, we are grateful. Amen. Thank you, Pete. Awesome. And welcome everybody to our 4th of July weekend celebration. And I'm Barry Roberts. I'm here speaking today, and I think I recognize people. I was wondering personally whether anyone was going to show up on this weekend, because it is actually the busiest travel weekend, they're saying, on the news of the year. So the fact anyone's here is great, and people are online is great. So if you're here or at a distance, welcome. And I have a special little story, just a little bit on the 4th of July before we get into the rest of it. So I have a special story about my birthday, which is in July. But back when I was born, my older brother was a cesarean section, and so then any after that had to be a C-section. So the parents went to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. They figured out, land on the date for me, July 4th. The doctor said, well, I'm going water skiing. It's the 5th. So at 9 a.m. on the 5th, here I am. Now, I haven't talked to any astrologer friends, like, what would be the difference if I had come 24 hours earlier? Would that make some difference? I don't know. But anyways, it's divine order, apparently. I couldn't have all the fireworks on my birthday. Aw. And I know also, this is the closest I could get to red, white, and blue. So. And I know I'm not a big flag waver, but, I was thinking about this. It really is okay to celebrate. Even though stuff's going on that we don't like, it's okay to celebrate what is good, because we do have a lot of good. And the other thing that I really believe in, and I've mentioned this before about sports, why I like people gathering at Camp Randall or wherever, anywhere, on the baseball field, whatever, for sports is we're all together for the sport. We're not talking about who's political things, the Democrats don't sit here and the Republicans sit there, and no, we're all together in it, and no one asks that. And the same with these celebrations this weekend, it brings people together. No one's going to the fireworks and segmenting people off into other areas. We're all there together. That's unity. And so I take the celebrations with that we've got good, we've done good, and it's good to have us together in celebration for whatever it is. So that's my take on the 4th of July. So I hope you all will celebrate and enjoy it and enjoy others. Okay. So the Declaration of Independence, as I said, is for the country, but we have our own independence and freedom, and that's what we focus on in Unity, is kind of the metaphysical and what does it mean to us. And so what I'm focusing on here is talking about our freedom, our spiritual freedom and independence as a human being. And there's a couple things that go into that. We had a great daily word today that I pretty much was sitting there thinking I could just stop and let that be the lesson for the day. But here's a couple things. From Charles Fillmore, Revealing Word, freedom is defined as the quality or state of being without thought or restraint, bondage, limitation, or repression. So without thought or restraint, bondage, limitation, or repression. Having a sense of complete well-being. It is a result of regulating one's life according to principle, not according to what anyone else may think or say. Okay? So, freeing ourselves from the bondage of our thoughts, of conditioning, of things going on around us, we have the free will to step aside from that and take that on in any way that we choose to do it. Okay? We have that choice, and our freedom is in that choice. And from that free will, which is a gift, a spiritual gift, so that we can all express whatever it is that we've come here to express, then we also need to walk the talk, right? So part of what's a big kind of religious, spiritual issue, I guess, is, are we believing in something or are we following something? So do we just say we believe in X, Y, Z and that's good enough and everything will be taken care of? Or are we going to follow and do X, Y, Z and actually live it? And that's the walking the talk. Okay? And in Unity, we have 5 basic principles that we like to teach. And the 5th one is this. The 5th one is to walk the talk. And in a teacher's manual, there is a list of, these are like 4 different phrases or sentences that talk about the 5th principle. So whatever one resonates to you, it's the law of demonstration, okay, which means you got to do something. I was reading a book recently, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, and he said, because he went to a monastery, became a monk, came back, he was educated at Harvard, and he's in the real world now, and he's teaching and doing all those kinds of things. But, you know, he was saying, you do have to do things. You can't just sit in the cave and meditate if you want to, you know, get out and do things. He says that's, let me make the quote right. That's what it was. That's hopeful manifestation. So if we just sit and think without doing anything, that's hopeful manifestation. The law of demonstration is we do things and we demonstrate, we bring them into our life and we create them. Knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. Okay? I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. And I like that one because even if we don't realize it, we are living the truth we know by our actions. You know, we may not be consciously thinking of it, but everything we do, say, think creates something in us and in our demonstration. Now, how does that happen? Well, another basic Unity principle. There we go. So this is just a quick review. This is the 3rd principle, the law of mind action. Basically, we have mind, and out of mind comes ideas, thoughts, images, and then expression. So everything in the universe follows this formula according to Unity principles. So on one level, you have God, spirit, nature, mind that's created everything else around, and the idea of the ultimate being, human being of the Christ image, and then expression, which is the whole universe. That's kind of on one level, but then on our personal level, it's the same thing. You know, we have our minds, and we have our ideas, thoughts, images, feelings, and then that leads us to take action, whatever it is, okay? Now, who's in charge of all this? us, right? It's our minds, it's our ideas and thoughts, and it's our expression. Okay? So a couple things about this. One is we're co-creating with the universe. It's not just us, it's us and our consciousness, shared consciousness. So here we have a community consciousness, we have a larger community consciousness, we have a world consciousness. All of that stuff works together as part of this process. So the question is, what do I want to bring to the party? Okay? What can I bring to the party? In a positive way, in a constructive way, in a spiritual way. Because when we look at ourselves and look at what we're doing, the question we want to look at, oops, there we go. Oop, one too many. Back. Sorry. Martin, can you help me? Back one. Okay. So here we have a list of items of things. So number one, peace versus violence. What are we expressing? Now it starts in thought too. So even if there's something out there we don't like, or something out there that is causing destruction, do we meet it with more destruction? Or do we meet it with peace? That's our choice. And we express that whether we're conscious of it or not. Flow versus force. Is it our ego trying to make something happen and force it to happen and force it on other people to happen? Or are we in flow with creative energy and with the universe and with each other, okay, to express? Are we expressing with compassion and forgiveness, or judgment and condemnation? I mean, everyone has their own opinions. I have my opinions, you have your opinions, okay. Everyone has an opinion, that's part of our human beingness. But do we judge others for their opinions and for their thoughts and for their beliefs? And do we condemn them? Or do we meet with compassion and forgiveness? There's never too much compassion or forgiveness. Remember when Jesus Christ was asked about how much he should forgive? Should he forgive someone who's harmed him 7 times? And Jesus Christ said, no. 70 times 7. You keep forgiving. Forgiveness is a key. So compassion, forgiveness versus judgment, condemnation, even if it's something we see as totally destructive. Abundance versus scarcity. There's a lot of grasping and ego and other kinds of things to deal with money and resources and many things in the world. That's coming from a scarcity consciousness instead of an abundance consciousness where we believe we can create more, where the universe is unlimited. So we can build more. We don't even know what more out there is going to be in the future. 10, 20, 30 years from now, there will be things we couldn't even have imagined. How did we know that was going to happen? Well, that's abundance. And scarcity too, we try and manipulate things and also condemn people for making money or having resources, and it's not a bad thing, honestly. It's not. I like sports, so it drives me nuts with all the salaries that athletes make, entertainers make, all these other things, tech people. It's millions and billions of dollars, okay? So some people will say, well, we ought to change the tax rates, which is fine, do whatever. But to me, it's not how much money someone makes, it's what they do with it, right? So someone has $1 billion, if they use it, for good and make things happen and build positive things, awesome, right? If it's just going to be sitting in a bank account looking at hoarding more, getting more, and building up that account, but not really doing anything except for themselves, then that's a scarcity consciousness. Okay? So it's not how much, it's what we do. And whether you have $1 billion or you have $100, it's the same issue, right? What do you do with it? How do you use it? How do you use it for good? How do you use it to help others? Same thing with give and take. Are we giving or are we taking? What's our focus? What do we actually do? Are we focused on getting stuff or giving? And the bottom line is, in my opinion, all of the things on the left come down to a love focus versus fear. All the things on the right come out of fear in some way. Okay. And in the book, The 5 Principles, he says, putting principle into action starts as an inside job to bring peace to the world. Be peaceful. All right? So a lot of people want peace in the world these days. Be peaceful yourself. If you're getting upset, angry, those kinds of things, that's not peaceful. And that doesn't necessarily help. Here's another thing. If you want to practice principle beyond your own home, try seeing the divinity in other people. Try treating each person you meet as a Messiah in disguise. Each person you meet. And it doesn't mean only the nice people you meet. Okay? You might meet all kinds of people, and that's okay. But the essence of all of us is divine. And we are all spiritual beings, and it doesn't, if they're expressing things that are very, not fitting with my consciousness, okay. But I don't want to condemn them. I want to influence the consciousness of the world and of them and make things better, not make things worse. So, let's try. Martin, next. Yeah, thanks. Couple bottom line ideas here. Number one, we can only control our own minds and actions, right? Everything else is out there. We have to deal with it, but most of it we can't control, all right? So, but what we can control is our reactions, our feelings, and then what we do about it. Heaven and hell are not places to go after you die. Okay? They're expressions in this life. People are living in hell and people are living in heaven in their minds. And it doesn't mean that you have to be rich or anything. There's people that have nothing, in tribes in Africa and and other places that have absolutely nothing, that are very happy and spiritual. And they're fine. And then there's other people that have a lot that aren't fine. So it's not about how much you have. It's how we express it through our mind, thought, and action. And we co-create the heaven and hell that we have on earth. Take action with a higher intent. Okay? So the Dalai Lama, we did this as a book study, the Book of Joy, a while back. So there's disturbing things that happen in the world, right? We see it, okay? And the Dalai Lama said, you must not hate those who do harmful things. The Dalai Lama has explained the compassionate thing is to do what you can to stop them, for they are harming themselves as well as those who suffer from their actions. So you're going to take action to try and stop a destructive thing, but it's not against the person, it's to help the person that's doing it and to help everyone else that's suffering from their actions. And so we can take action, but we take it with a positive intent to make things better versus to condemn and hurt someone else. And actually, I see our Christmas in July with Days, Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, as that type of thing. Like Domestic Abuse Days, they're doing a positive thing, giving refuge to people that need it, Now, if we really had our act together as human beings, we wouldn't need it, right? If we were all living at the spiritual Christ consciousness, would we need refuge from domestic abuse? No, but that's not the reality right now, okay? So we can take a positive step to help the people suffering and change it in a positive way. And that's something that Days does, and many others do too. And that's the higher intent. It's to help everybody. And take action. And then the last one is really for yourself as an individual. Observe what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking, how you're acting, what's going on in your life. Just observe it. Then figure out what you want to change and take action. Okay? And then repeat and look at what happens as a result of that. And keep doing that to improve yourself, to get these things into place for you in your life, in everyday life. Okay? Because we need the feedback. You know, some people don't like feedback, but, well, I like feedback. Everyone likes feedback in some ways, but sometimes it's challenging. Okay, but we work with that, we change some things, and we try and get better. That's what it's all about. So, inside out, we are spiritual beings. We are co-creating what we have here on earth. If we want to change it, we have to change it in ourselves first. And we have to live peacefully if we want peace in the world, both in our thoughts and our actions. So, Martin, can you get me? All right. So we'll wrap up with a few affirmations here to express and bring with yourself as you leave here today. So together, let's say, I am an expression of spirit. I am free to choose my path. I see good in all beings. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.